At 4:46 ante-meridium on a frozen December morning, a guided multiple-launch rocket system munition traveling at Mach 3 slammed through the reinforced concrete roof of the Luch power generation facility. Within 35 seconds, a billion-dollar strategic asset became smoking wreckage, and 40,000 Russian civilians found themselves plunged into a sub-zero humanitarian crisis. The Russian Federation's integrated air defense network never saw it coming. What you are about to discover is how this strike represents a fundamental shift in modern asymmetric warfare. At 0430 hours, the ambient temperature registered 0 degrees Fahrenheit. Under these conditions, a Ukrainian high-mobility artillery rocket system battery emerged from concealed positions within the tree line. The mission parameters were brutally simple: establish firing position, engage target, and extract before counter-battery radar could triangulate their location. 30 seconds. That is the operational window from halt to first rocket away. The crew executed with textbook precision. 6 guided multiple-launch rocket system rockets arced into the pre-dawn darkness. Before the launch signature dissipated, the high-mobility artillery rocket system was already displacing, leaving Russian counter-battery systems screaming at empty coordinates. These 6 rockets climbed to their apogee, then began terminal descent toward the Luch power plant. This facility generated 70% of the city's electrical heating capacity. In sub-zero temperatures, losing this facility meant survival became questionable. But the Russian-Ukrainian border sector bristles with overlapping air defense coverage. S-400 long-range surface-to-air missile systems, Pantsir short, 1 mobile gun missile platforms, Tor-M, 2 tactical air defense batteries. This integrated network should have intercepted 6 guided multiple-launch rocket system rockets within 90 seconds of launch detection. So, they did not fly a direct trajectory. They flew through a corridor of chaos that Ukraine had spent 48 hours meticulously constructing. At 0432 hours, Russian air defense radar operators experienced system seizure. The Nebo-M early warning radar detected 1 inbound contact, then 10, then 50. Within 2 minutes, 140 distinct radar signatures appeared simultaneously across multiple approach vectors. This was not a mass drone swarm. Ukrainian operational planners understood that concentrated formations are target-rich environments. A single S-400 battery can engage 6 targets simultaneously. Clustering drones would be tactical suicide. Instead, Ukraine executed the starfish split. From centralized launch points, 140 distinct unmanned aerial vehicles diverged into 4 separate attack vectors, each with different altitude profiles, speeds, and apparent target sets. The brilliance lies in exploiting a fundamental weakness in integrated air defense: decision paralysis. Russian commanders faced impossible calculus. Engage the northern group potentially targeting Moscow? Focus on the southern formation approaching strategic air bases? Prioritize high-altitude contacts resembling cruise missiles? Or maintain coverage over Belgorod itself? They could not defend everything. They had to choose. And Ukraine had predicted every choice they would make. 45 AQ-4400 Scythe unmanned aerial vehicles broke hard left, climbing to 8,000 feet and vectoring north-northwest. Their flight profile deliberately mimicked a cruise missile attack run toward Moscow's outer defense ring or strategic bomber bases near Kursk. Russian command could not ignore this. At 0435 hours, 4 Sukhoi 35 flanker interceptors launched from Voronezh airbase, afterburners painting blue fire across the frozen sky. Each Sukhoi 35 represents $90 million of advanced aerospace engineering. The lead pilot achieved radar lock at 40 kilometers. His display showed contacts maintaining cruise missile flight parameters. He closed to visual range, and what he saw should have given him pause. The AQ-4400 Scythe is essentially a motorized plywood glider. 2 sheets of aircraft-grade plywood, a 50-horsepower lawnmower engine, and basic flight controls. Total unit cost: $5,000. But on radar, it presents a signature consistent with a cruise missile. The pilot did not have time for detailed inspection. His rules of engagement were clear. He fired an R-77 air-to-air missile. This weapon cost $1.2 million. It tracked the lawnmower engine's heat signature with surgical precision and vaporized the plywood target. Calculate the exchange rate: $1.2 million to destroy $5,000 of plywood. 45 drones in the northern group. The Sukhoi 35 fighters emptied their weapons stations, firing missile after missile at disposable decoys. By 0442 hours, the Russian Air Force was Winchester, completely out of ordnance and critically low on fuel. They had to return to base for rearmament, requiring minimum 45 minutes. The northern sky was now completely undefended. While fighters chased Plywood north, the southern vector deployed 30 Beaver long-range kamikaze drones, each carrying a 44-pound high-explosive warhead. These were bait with teeth. As this formation crossed the border, Russian electronic warfare stations activated global positioning system jamming. The Beaver drones switched to inertial guidance mode. Ukrainian planners had seeded the formation with 20 weather balloons equipped with corner reflectors that amplify radar signatures. When jamming hit, these balloons drifted erratically. To Pantsir Short 1 crews, these slow-moving, hovering contacts looked like attack helicopters. They panicked. 30mm autocannons, firing at 4,000 rounds per minute, created a wall of tracer fire. The balloons popped spectacularly, shredded by high-explosive incendiary ammunition. While Russian gunners fixated on destroying weather balloons, 30 Beaver drones flew straight through the engagement zone. 10 kilometers deeper, TOR-M2 tactical air defense systems maintained discipline. They identified the straight-flying Beaver drones and engaged. 16 surface-to-air missiles launched in rapid succession. The Beaver drones, flying on inertial autopilot, could not maneuver. Within 3 minutes, 28 of 30 were destroyed. The remaining 2 crashed due to navigation drift. Total loss, 100%. To Russian commanders, this looked like overwhelming victory. They had just destroyed an entire attack squadron. Command posts erupted in celebration, but that was the entire point. The southern group was designed to die. The TOR-M2 batteries had emptied their vertical launch cells. The Pantsir crews had overheated their autocannon barrels. The entire southern flank was now Winchester, out of ready ammunition. Reloading would require minimum 20 minutes. 20 minutes of open sky. Simultaneously, 35 AQ-4400 Scythe drones carried Lüneburg lens radar reflectors that amplify radar signatures by 100 times. The drones climbed aggressively to 16,000 feet directly over the border. To Russian S-400 operators, the radar picture transformed instantly. The amplified signatures presented as heavy strike aircraft, possibly Sukhoi 24 bombers, establishing attack geometry for high-altitude bombing. The Russian battery commander could not risk allowing a bomber formation to reach release point. He ignored the anomalous airspeed data showing contacts moving at only 120 miles per hour, far too slow for jet bombers. He authorized engagement with S-300V4 long-range interceptors. Massive 9M8, 3 missiles, each weighing 5,000 pounds and costing $2.3 million, roared off their launch rails. The missiles accelerated to Mach 7, striking wooden drones with such devastating kinetic energy that targets were essentially vaporized. 35 drones destroyed in under 2 minutes. Calculate the exchange. Russia expended 12 heavy interceptor missiles, combined cost $27.6 million, to destroy $525,000 worth of plywood and lawnmower engines. The S-300 and S-400 batteries were now in reload cycles requiring 45 minutes. Their tracking radars remained tilted upward, scanning for high-altitude threats, completely ignoring the stratosphere directly above them. The 4th Attack Group, 30 AQ-4400 Scythe drones, approached within 5 miles of Belgorod's perimeter and stopped. They circled like sheepdogs, dipping in and out of radar coverage, constantly threatening but never committing. This is psychological torture for air defense crews, remaining Pantsir short. One operators were forced to keep tracking radars spinning horizontally, scanning the horizon at 0 to 10 degrees elevation. It became a deadly staring contest. Panzer systems could not fire because drones remained outside effective range, but they could not turn radars off, because the moment they did, drones would exploit the gap. After 20 minutes, fuel gauges on Ukrainian drones began flashing red. All units, free fire, crash dive now. Simultaneously, all 30 drones banked hard and dove toward anything expensive. One Scythe slammed into a parked fuel truck near a checkpoint. The 50-pound warhead atomized the vehicle, creating a mushroom cloud of burning fuel. Another drone targeted a Pantsir battery directly. The crew panic-fired their autocannons, shredding the wooden airframe in mid-air. But the burning engine block continued on ballistic trajectory and smashed into the Pantsir's fire control radar dish. That system was now combat ineffective. A third Scythe struck a transformer substation. Blue electrical arcs showered the snow as the local power grid died. All 30 drones were destroyed, but the chaos was absolute. Pantsir crews were firing wildly, the air filled with smoke, radio channels jammed with panicked communications. And every eye, every sensor, every radar dish was pointed down. Nobody was watching the sky above. Examine the tactical situation. In the north, Sukhoi 35 interceptors are refueling. In the south, Tor-M, 2 batteries sit empty. In the center, heavy S-300 systems are in reload cycles. Around the perimeter, Panzer batteries are damaged or fixated on ground threats. The Russian defense network has won every individual engagement. They intercepted drones, they destroyed decoys, they are celebrating tactical victories. But they have lost the war for airspace control. Directly above the Luch power plant, a silent corridor has opened, and falling through that window, unseen and absolutely lethal, are 6 American-made guided multiple launch rocket system munitions plummeting at Mach 3, 85-degree angle of attack, heading for a completely defenseless power plant. The 6 rockets entered terminal phase at 0446 hours. Traveling at 2,300 feet per second, descending at 85 degrees, they existed in the dead zone of radar detection cones. Too high and too fast for low-level tracking. Too steep and too small for high-altitude search radars. The first rocket impacted the turbine hall roof. The M31A1 unitary warhead did not detonate on impact. The fuse was set for delayed detonation. The 200-pound hardened steel penetrator punched through 2 feet of reinforced concrete. 2 seconds later, inside the turbine hall, the warhead detonated. The explosion created catastrophic mechanical imbalance. 4 massive gas turbines were spinning at 3,000 revolutions per minute. When the blast wave struck these spinning masses, physics took over. Even a single millimeter of wobble at 3,000 revolutions per minute is mechanically fatal. The turbines violently disintegrated. High-speed compressor blades tore through hardened steel casings, severing high-pressure oil lines and superheated steam pipes. Then, freezing external air rushed through the shattered roof, instantly freezing the spraying water and oil. On the ground, Russian reaction was chaotic. A Panzer crew fired a surface-to-air missile blindly into the sky. It missed by 3 miles. Ground troops began firing AK-74 assault rifles into the air. They were attempting to shoot down supersonic steel projectiles with rifle bullets. While they wasted ammunition, the remaining 5 guided multiple launch rocket system rockets arrived in a time-on-target salvo. Rockets 2 and 3 gutted the control room. Rocket 4 struck the main transformer yard. 20,000 gallons of cooling oil ignited instantly, creating a fireball 200 feet high. Rockets 5 and 6 struck the boiler infrastructure, ensuring that even if turbines could be repaired, there would be no steam pressure to turn them. The attack lasted exactly 35 seconds. The Luch power plant transformed from critical infrastructure to a $300 million bonfire. Belgorod's electrical grid flickered once, twice, then died completely. Municipal heating pumps groaned to a halt. Inside 40,000 homes, temperatures began descending toward freezing. The sun rose over Belgorod, but the city did not wake up. It just got colder. The physical damage was absolute. The Luch facility provided 70% of Belgorod's residential heating. With turbines shredded and boilers ruptured, hot water stopped flowing. Within 6 hours, interior temperatures dropped to 40 degrees Fahrenheit. By evening, interior temperatures matched sub-zero exterior conditions. Repairing gas turbines requires months. Repairing frozen, burst water pipes embedded in concrete walls requires jackhammers and miracles. The city faced a humanitarian crisis lasting weeks minimum. Moscow attempted standard information control. The Ministry of Defense claimed falling debris caused a minor fire, and all hostile projectiles were intercepted. It was plausible until Belgorod residents uploaded video evidence to Telegram. Footage of families huddled in winter coats inside kitchens, breath steaming in living rooms, destroyed the official story within hours. This operation represents fundamental evolution in asymmetric warfare doctrine. Ukraine did not outspend Russia. They outthought them. Total Ukrainian expenditure: approximately 140 drones at $7,000 each, totaling $980,000. 6 guided multiple launch rocket system munitions at $170,000 each, totaling $1.02 million. Total, approximately $2 million. Russia expended 4 Sukhoi 35 fighter sorties at $200,000. Approximately 40 air-to-air missiles at $1.2 million each, totaling $48 million. 16 Tor-M, 2 missiles at $120,000 each, totaling $1.92 million. 12 S-300 interceptors at $2.3 million each, totaling $27.6 million. Panzer ammunition and vehicle damage, $3 million. Total Russian expenditure, approximately $82.7 million. Ukraine spent $2 million to force Russia to expend $82 million in defensive munitions, while destroying a $300 million strategic asset. But the true brilliance lies not in economics, it lies in operational design. Ukraine understood that modern integrated air defense networks cannot defend everything simultaneously. They must prioritize, they must choose. So Ukraine forced them to choose, then exploited every choice. Every intercept was a victory that weakened defense. Every destroyed decoy was ammunition unavailable for the real attack. Every radar locked on a false target was a gap in coverage. This is the future of asymmetric warfare. Not overwhelming force, not technological superiority, but surgical exploitation of systemic vulnerabilities through layered deception, forcing the enemy to defeat themselves through their own doctrine. The Belgorod strike demonstrates a replicable methodology that fundamentally challenges conventional air defense doctrine. When cheap, expendable decoys force an enemy to expend million-dollar interceptors, the economic sustainability of modern air defense becomes questionable. When integrated networks can be systematically overloaded and blinded through coordinated deception, the entire strategic calculus changes. This operation proves a new principle. In modern warfare, the side that controls the enemy's decision cycle controls the battle space. Ukraine did not penetrate Russian air defenses. They convinced Russian air defenses to create their own penetration corridor. That is not just tactical success, that is strategic brilliance, and it represents the new paradigm of asymmetric warfare that will define military operations for the next generation.